centralized fucking shitty fucking database, and that you can do everything on Bitcoin layer 2 or layer 3 that you can do with Ethereum shitcoin, then like why the fuck would you fuck with a centralized cryptocurrency owned by an autistic little Canadian kid that wears fucking kitty cat t-shirts? You know what I mean?
Well, that might be just the stupidest thing I've ever heard you say on this app.
Well, stick around, man. It's only going to go downhill from here. But do you know what I mean, Martel? There's almost all shitcoins are pre-mined, are centralized, and their fate is decided on a group of people who has money and interest in propping up this fucking bullshit thing.
I mean,
you're projecting.
Like, what's not to say that Bitcoin isn't being propped up as well, right? Who owns the most Bitcoin? Like, the U.S. government owns a lot of Bitcoin too after the Silk Road seizure. I mean, there's some major holders that can manipulate the markets of Bitcoin. We're being completely honest, right?
Mm-hmm. No, totally. I totally agree. I don't think the U.S. government has enough to manipulate, but Michael Saylor could absolutely fucking tank Bitcoin if he sold Andy out theirs, right?
Hey, Jamie.
Hey, what's up, Sean?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, so I'm confused because I don't know too much about Bitcoin. I mean, I know some things. I know with the coins, right? Is there any like there's so many coins out there, right? Like, who's to say which one's a good one and which one's not gonna tank, or how do we put faith behind these things?
Bitcoin is the best.
If I can tell you like my answer to that after spending like a lot of time, like over 14 years trying to answer that question, my answer is that ignore everything with Bitcoin. Don't try to day trade Bitcoin. Don't try to sell and buy and make money on highs and lows. That's going to the casino. Anyone who has owned Bitcoin for more than 4 years has made money on it. And I believe that trend is going to continue. I think it's going to accelerate as time goes on, as more and more people realize how important the technology it is. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why it's different than all the other ones. That would be like, I would kill the room if I went into it, but like my learning has led me to that conclusion.
Okay.
So much so, and let me tell you how irrational I am. So much so that I did have a diversified portfolio.
Lead in the ink.
The technology.
This is made of Pyrex.
And for years, that made me very successful, like in my trading. And when I came to the conclusion that I did with Bitcoin, I moved 100% of my assets, my savings, investments into Bitcoin in one way or another.
Yeah, one more time.
So you're 100% in Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, not just Bitcoin, it could be ETF. Hey, what's up, Mal? Yeah, MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, or your ETFs, but yeah, 100%.
Like things and everything?
Mm-hmm.
I have a question, because I love the technology of Bitcoin. I think it's just amazing, but there are a couple of things that bother me. Governments might start to hate it because it gives some freedom, and freedom in a good and in a bad way, like for crime or whatever. But also, governments, they don't like freedom usually, even if they say that. Don't you fear that at some point they will just ban Bitcoin in an effective manner?
It's a great question, Mal, right? Because we've seen this happen before, and you're absolutely right. Like, governments shouldn't be pro-Bitcoin, which, you can ask why Trump is. I'm being facetious, but like, it's a great question. China was once the biggest centralization of miners, and they made a shitload of money using a lot of that cheap Chinese electricity, and then China banned Bitcoin mining, even though it was creating a lot of revenue for them, because exactly what you said, they were scared of it, right? And it tanked the price of Bitcoin. But what happened long term? It didn't matter. It still followed the curve. And the reason why it's so amazing is because who are they going to shut down? There's no CEO. There's no group of people they can arrest to stop it. There's no centralized server bank that they can shut down. Like it doesn't matter. Governments like it, they don't like it, it doesn't matter. That's what's magical about it. It's an open source technology that anyone with a little bit of computing power can transact without needing a bank or any third party. So I guess the simplest
Yes.
question is like, why wouldn't a third party just shut it down? Is because it's Bitcoin. There is no third party. It's just the user.
Exactly. That is the marvelous part. But at the same time, they might say established economy, all the laws, everything won't play nicely with Bitcoin. I think we will never stop Bitcoin starting. Well, we will never stop Bitcoin now, but it might not be like the main currency or an important currency. I don't know. What's your thought? Because you have read a lot.
No, I agree, Malik. I don't see a world where in the future where everyone is just like, oh, the chocolate bars is 1,000 satoshis. Oh, scan, I'm gonna buy it. No, like no, your grandma, like the non-technological. No, we're always gonna have fiat. But what I would like to see in the future is a world where fiat is tied to something of value, a real commodity, like back when it was tied to gold, right? And I think Bitcoin is the new gold. It is the new store of value. It enables a whole bunch of things to happen really efficiently and effectively without using third parties, right? And I don't think any of the other shitcoins that truth applies. And to Martel, to tie back to what you were saying, right? Like imagine if the U.S. government decided Ethereum was no good and it was going to shut it down. They could go and seize all the the Ethereum companies. They put a warrant out for Vitalik. They could do all these things because it's not decentralized. There is a place that you can go and arrest and put lawsuit.
One question: you just said the word fiat, and I don't think that was a mistake. But somehow Bitcoin is also fiat. It's an act of faith, or I am wrong.
So I use fiat as a term to describe like national currencies that are created and dispersed by the government. So the United States dollar is fiat, the Canadian dollar is fiat. Not something based on faith, but just the term fiat refers to a national currency that is printed and created by a central bank, basically.
Well, no, yes, fiat is like fiduciary. It's like you trust the government will give you back something if you're holding a piece of paper that is has a dollar sign, and that's all. So they are not backed by an actual asset like gold or like cows or whatever the fuck they use it to back up the money. So Bitcoin is the same. Bitcoin is like you say Bitcoin is worth like $6,000, but I would say a belief. It's not wrong. I'm not criticizing, but I wanted to understand if for some reason it's not fiat in a sense.
Yeah, because when you look at Bitcoin, what determines its price? 100% free market. The market entirely determines its price. Like everything is known with regards to the production, how much is going to be made, when the last Bitcoin is going to be created. Like everything is known because it's very systematic and timed and predictable, right? And so the only thing that is unknown is what people will pay for their Bitcoin, and that's complete capitalism. Now look at fiat. What determines the value of USD? It's how much the interest rates are. It's what the planned inflation is going to be. It's how much of it is printed every year. And if you print too much, then it's going to devalue the USD. And those decisions are all in the hands of people and governments and political parties, right?
Yes, and the confidence and how strong militarily is the USA and how much the other countries are willing to use the dollar and things like that. It's quite complex. One other question, changing a little bit the subject, but staying inside Bitcoin. GPUs, for example, NVIDIA designed now GPUs so they can be used for Bitcoin mining. That had an impact. It doesn't matter. What do you think?
Sorry, what was the last part? Like with the GPUs, like a limitation on GPUs?
Yes, and NVIDIA, for example, the GPUs you can buy now, they are tweaked, so you can't use them to mine Bitcoin. It's called, there's a specific name. Actually, I own a couple of GPUs, and they clearly say you can't use that for Bitcoin because it's designed in a way that it won't do the job in a
Yeah, like so, yeah. Some GPUs are not made for mining Bitcoin. That's not what they're specialized for. Bitcoin mining devices or hardware has GPUs that are specifically, and usually they're like very similar to graphic GPUs, which is why NVIDIA blew up because their graphic cards were very useful for Bitcoin mining. But now there's entire companies that are creating machines that are specifically and GPUs that are specifically for mining Bitcoin. And as long as there's a market for it, they're going to create it. But let's imagine there was a flood of low-cost machines, and all of a sudden, a whole bunch of miners popped onto the network and started mining more. The reason why every 4 years the amount of Bitcoin that's produced is cut in half, and we know it's every 4 years, but we can't tell exactly the date, is because every 2 weeks the network does an adjustment, a difficulty adjustment. So, like the China example I gave you, when China made Bitcoin mining illegal, the hash rate, the number of miners that were looking for Bitcoin, cut like 80% overnight because China shut off all mining, right? And so if the difficulties of finding Bitcoin was still super high, but there's way less people on there, well then they'd never be able to mine any Bitcoin. But every 2 weeks, it'll look at that and say, "Oh shit, I'm going to adjust the difficulty so that everyone can mine predictably the amount of Bitcoin we want to create over every 2-week period." And so that's why we know the halving will happen in 4 years. But because of the delta in the 2-week period between an adjustment, we don't know the exact second or the exact day. So all that to say, if there's a change in the availability of mining equipment, or if 80% of the miners disappear next day, doesn't matter. The network adjusts, difficulty adjustment, everything keeps running.
Okay. And one other thing, I heard that the German government, with the help of some scientists, they have a way not to take out the full anonymity of Bitcoin, but certain part. I don't know what you think about that.
There's a zero anonymity when it comes to Bitcoin. Zero. I mean, that's literally the definition of a blockchain, is that it is an open ledger that anyone in the world can go and see every single transaction that has ever happened. And what they see is the amount that was sent, and the wallet it was sent from, and the wallet it was sent to. Everyone in the world, you can go back to the very first Bitcoin transactions and see them, and then see exactly the wallet address and how much was sent and how much was. You can go and see every Bitcoin that was created because it's all an open ledger. Right? And so the anonymity part comes in and saying, hey, if I can acquire Bitcoin without using traditional banking systems, then my wallet address isn't associated to me. And it's getting harder to do that. There's ways to do it, but it's hard. Most people go onto Coinbase, buy some Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, but there's a paper digital trail that leads exactly to their identity, to that wallet. Right? So it's not like this anonymous thing. It's not at all anonymous. There are other coins that are, like Monero, but Bitcoin isn't. But the other technologies that are being built on top of Bitcoin enable more privacy, more anonymity, if that's what you're looking for, right? And I don't think that's a bad thing.
I think that's great somehow. It's a double-edged sword, but sometimes it can be great for certain group of people.
Yeah, I don't think, like, this idea that privacy is somehow a bad thing is weird. Like it's weird. It's weird, you know. And privacy is the ability to selectively reveal yourself to the world, right? Secrecy is choosing not to reveal anything to the world. Now, there's a difference, and it's important, right? And if you want to talk about like anonymity and a currency that's used for illegal means, then let's talk about USD. USD is anonymous. USD is the currency used by the majority of criminals.
Totally. Actually,